Well, good morning and welcome to None of the Fluff, Only the Facts with Coach Claire Autrey and Yvonne Sandoval. Hi,
Good morning.
Claire. Good morning. How are you doing?
Fantastic. And yourself?
I am doing great. I am excited every Wednesday to talk with you and hear what's going on in your world and, speak to our viewers about the things that they need to grow their business. So before we started the show, we always talk a little bit and we talk about, what is it that is going on currently in the world of real estate. And Claire wanted to talk about something that's really important, uh, and that is professionalism. And sometimes, right, you're out there and you're working hard as an agent, and you're going to sometimes come across people who are not as professional or are working, the way they should with you as an agent. So, Claire, tell us about some of the things that you've seen and how you can overcome those hurdles.
So thanks, Yvonne. And you know what? It's great to be with everybody today again on our awesome Wednesday at 10 a.m. So here's what's interesting is at any given point in time, like we had talked about last week, we're not all spiritually fit, and what do we do as professionals when we're running across another professional that's in our same industry and they're a bit abrasive or they're a bit rude or they're just not answering their phone or not nice? I, myself, as a business owner, we can't take that personally. The first thing that I do in my head is ask myself, have I been abrasive? Have I been rude? And what can I do to help this situation? So a lot of times I'll ask the question upon someone else if I'm on the phone and I feel that things are getting a little sideways. And I will be like, is there something I can do to make this a little bit easier for us? Because it seems that we may not be communicating in the best way to make this a positive experience for our customers.
That's true.
And just wait for them to respond. Now if they continue to be unresponsive or negatively responsive, I have to realize that it is still my responsibility as a realtor, if I'm dealing in a real estate transaction, that it is my responsibility to not be of disservice to either buyer or seller, no matter which one. Because in the state of Florida, we have to follow what our license says, and we can't do anything that's going to be a detriment to either side. So I can't control other people's actions. However, the one thing that I can continue to use that's in my toolbox, and what everybody has in their toolbox, is kindness, honesty, and making sure that we do the next right thing. That doesn't mean we become a doormat. It may mean that it may be a different time that I can talk to this person where we can create a better scenario for this situation. Sometimes there are situations where we have to contact their broker, unfortunately.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you about that.
Yeah, because that's kind of like last case scenario. I try to resolve the issue because sometimes I can come across. I'm a type A personality. I speak in bullet points. So sometimes text messaging or speaking to someone, I can sound overpowering. So I need to make sure that I am checking myself first and then making sure that I'm of maximum service to that other cooperating agent to help them. Because there's been times where I have viewed other people as, oh, they have a little bit of an attitude. And then I have to put myself in check and realize, wait, they may be going through something and I need to just have some grace and have some mercy toward that person and help them through it. I've come across that. So what have you seen from some of your clients that may have been through this, Yvonne?
Well, yeah, and actually do see it quite a bit. And even as a business owner who works with the real estate industry, I see it happening to me. Where no, it's just true. I have to always go from my own personal experience. Doing this for 9 years, working with real estate agents and realtors. Yeah, the sometimes you do get people who will ghost you, and they just feel that that's a way of communication. There's no resolution, and so it's very difficult, and it's unusual. I come from other industries where that's not acceptable. It's so I know that that's something we really do have to work on in this industry, is to realize is that people are counting on you, and so if you're going to act like that with a vendor, say like myself, a service provider, I can only imagine how you're going to deal with your clients, because if you find it acceptable in one realm, you're most likely going to find it acceptable in others. So, making sure you setting expectations as a professional, meaning teaching people how to treat you. So remember, if you're ghosting people, if you're not returning calls, if you're being abrasive, if you are, not following protocols, what you're doing is setting expectations of how you want to be treated. And then
Exactly.
you're going to perpetuate that which you are, that's what you're receiving. So I
Right.
think it's a two-way street, and like they say, it all starts with you.
And I agree. And that comes back to, full circle. And it's kind of like what we're putting out there, what are we getting back? And have there been times where I've been abrasive? Absolutely. Have I made those mistakes? Absolutely. And that's the reason why I bring it to the table, because I've learned from those mistakes. And I'd rather somebody else not have to go through that unfortunate or uncomfortable situation. So I have to put myself in check. I mean, that's how we do things. So one of the things that has helped is learning other people's disc profiles.
Yes.
And typically with someone's responses in less than, a couple of minutes, I can identify what type of behavioral style they are so that I can speak their language. Now, this goes for buyers, sellers, business owners, vendors, and cooperating agents. This helps throughout the whole life process of being a business owner and communicating with our community and our professionals that are around us. So that is some of the things that have helped, in being able to identify that. So what have you found, Yvonne, that has helped you identify and make sure that you can be of maximum service to people? I love the way we're doing this today. We're like back and forth. We're
You
going to
know,
make a whole match.
it's an exchange. I think as coaches, what we do is we're able to, and it's funny, I was thinking of this earlier, we're able to what's called riff. We can basically talk on any subject at any time. And that is something that we worked on. We're not born this way. These are skill sets that we've developed. And these skill sets of being able to speak on any subject at any moment shows that not only that we're professionals and that we have expertise, but that we've developed that expertise. So I feel like the things that the agents need to do, and how they can better communicate, is they have to always remember that they are acting in a professional capacity, that they are providing a service to others that is a license by the state of Florida to serve in that capacity, just like a doctor or a lawyer who also are licensed by the DBPR, like they are, you know. So the idea is that when you hold yourself to a higher standard, so will others. And if you're not ready for that, you shouldn't be in this field. As
Right.
simple as that. So for me, how I make sure that that's going to happen with the people I work with is that that's how I hold myself. I hold myself to that standard, and it's not for everyone. I'm not everyone's cup of tea, But that's also because they don't hold themselves to a standard, the same standard I do, and that's fine. I mean, like I said, there's no right or wrong, but there's definitely a wrong person for my sphere. So if you're not the right person for my sphere, you're not going to be welcome, and I want that to be the case. I know you don't have control as an agent when you're working with another agent in a transaction of who that person is, and you have to accept them for their limitations, their character, their flaws, and but you have to always maintain your own standards and your own,
Right.
because that's how you're going to teach people to treat you. So if someone's not returning your phone calls, um, well, then maybe you have to learn how they prefer to be communicated with. In this case,
Yes.
it may be a text message, it
Yeah.
may be an email, it may be you have to drive by their house. I mean, maybe they want. I
I've
don't.
done that.
Or maybe they are, if they're not communicative at all, then always don't jump to the conclusion is that they're doing something with malice against you personally. They may be in a situation where they've had a death in the family, or they have an illness, they've been in a car accident, they're going through a some kind of life crisis. Always don't take it personally, as what most people do.
Yep.
It's not about you. You don't know what's going on in their lives. If it gets to the point where they're completely not answering you, and you represent the client and your client's best interests, then you do have to escalate to the broker. But once again, make sure when you're speaking to the broker that you are not bringing the drama with that. It's
Right.
logic, it's clear communication, because that everybody here, including the agent who's not responsive, most likely wants to get this deal done. So you're all in it together. Work together. Teach people how to treat you, and always hold yourself to a standard. And just realize that not everyone's going to be on that same wavelength. But that doesn't mean you should change yourself. It just means you should have more grace.
Absolutely. And it all boils down to like some of the things that resonate in my head is being kind. Now kind to me, y'all are learning. I'm an acronym type of person. Keeping in a non-dysfunctional mindset.
Ooh,
Kind.
love
Okay.
it.
So instead of being reactionary, I can choose to be responsive, which is showing grace and mercy. And it's kind of like, why would that person respond that way? So I'm constantly asking myself questions. If something has stirred up in me, and, Yvonne and I have had conversations with some of our business partners and stuff, and Yvonne will be like, what do you think about this? And I was like, I would be asking questions, you know? So I like to ask a lot of questions so that I can listen, so that I can understand, because I would rather understand than to be understood. It's not about me being right. It's about creating an atmosphere, a professional business atmosphere that allows for success. And as long as I am responsive rather than reactionary, and I can be kind and not get all caught up in the itty bitty shitty committee in my head, I'm less likely to make a mistake. I'm also very quick to admit when I have offended someone. I got told by someone about a year ago, um, why do you always apologize? And I was like, because if I admit what I did out loud, then I can create an atmosphere where I'm less likely to make that mistake again. And you understand that I am a person of my word, and that matters more to me than anything. If we can't, as business owners, admit when we make a mistake and make it right, it's not just about saying I'm sorry. I'm sorry is a disservice, and I'm going to say this is a little jump off. No human being is sorry. God didn't make any junk. We can apologize for our actions or our decisions. However, there is not one sorry bone in our makeup. I will not accept that, because we have all been uniquely designed, and there is nothing. We make bad decisions, okay? We make mistakes. However, we are not sorry. We can apologize, but we're not sorry because God don't make no junk. So in that way, it also allows us, I hear all the time, well, you have to, what's the biggest part of success is how many times you failed and got back up, right?
Right.
So it's staying in that uncomfortable portion of failing forward that allows us that growth. And this is one of those places where very easily I learned early on, my mouth will overload my butt in a heartbeat. And so I had to dumb it down for myself. However, the only way that I was able to understand that is because I hired a coach.
Right.
And that coach helped me understand that through my language with my first coach, he allowed me to understand I needed to study more of what I said, what comes out of my mouth, because that's what I'm saying to myself and that's what I'm saying to other people. And it can be kind of harsh and it's on the negative side of the quadrant. So my coach helped me in the beginning understand the difference in those neurolinguistic pathways and speaking things into existence and speaking in a more positive manner so that you're attracting the people who would choose to do business with you. It's not about necessarily always making a script. It was how it was coming across. It's your body language. It's your tonality. It had more to do with the manner in which we state something than what is actually stated, if that makes sense. And it all boils down to how we are reactionary rather than responsive. So I can be more responsive. If somebody is being reactionary, I need to stop real quick, take a breath, and realize it's not all about me. It's not. I have to place myself in their shoes to ask them a question. Hey, I didn't mean to come off abrasive. Didn't mean to offend you. However, how can we make this work? And that just opening up on that vulnerability has allowed for a lot more business to come across and cooperate with one another, even with vendors, even with contractors. I mean, my teammates used to always know the first person that I was going to be reactionary with in any given situation were my lenders. I would interview my lenders and I would tell them there were certain criteria. And if they couldn't fit that certain criteria, they couldn't work with me because I needed somebody who was on my team to understand my language, because that is where one of the things that matters to me is you don't mess with somebody else's money. You just don't.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm going back to something that I witnessed, and when we were hanging out a couple of weeks ago, and I thought this was something I really wanted to bring on to because it's important to me, and I think it'd be important to others. Is the idea of having that person to bounce things off. And I think that let's see that we might have lost our picture, but we're back. In terms of uh, when I have a question, like I had somebody ask me, a vendor asked me a question the other day, and it's actually a major ask. And I wasn't able to answer the question because I didn't want to make that decision without running it past someone. So I have to talk to my coach about it. That's what I said. I wrote back and I said, thank you so much for thinking of me. This is a really big opportunity and I really appreciate the opportunity. But it may not, and I said, so I'm going to have to talk to my coach about this. It may not fall in line with my bigger picture of what I want to do with my business and my time. So you were in front of me one day and you took a phone call from an agent. I want to say they were from like another state, and they were referring you business. And you had the conversation with them about, so who's your coach? Who are you working with? And that person said to you, well, my wife is my coach. She's awesome. And what did you say to them?
I can't remember.
I do. I remember because it was, to me, it's the whole point of everything. You said to them, "Oh dear, no, that's your biggest cheerleader."
Oh, that I remember that now. Yep. I
Yeah,
said, that's your biggest cheerleader.
the biggest cheerleader, but it's not your coach.
Mm-hmm.
And I want people to realize that, because I've had people say that to me too. When I don't go with these kinds of big business questions to my daughter or to somebody that I'm dating, or if I was married, I wouldn't go to my spouse with it. It's because there needs to be a layer removed. There needs to be that space that is they don't have a lot of skin in the game. They have, because a spouse would be affected by most of these questions that come up in our businesses. Maybe even a child or would be affected by that decision. So you need to have an independent third party who's really looking at it in a dry sense, where their emotions aren't involved. That is where you're going to get your best business advice. So what do you think about that? Because you did say to the person, no, that's your cheerleader, that's not your coach. So
I do
what did
remember that, and you brought it up in a very good way. Is like when we are looking for a coach. And what's interesting is I always looked for someone who was unbiased, who was not a part of the drama or in a portion of that situation, in order to provide wisdom and guidance. So I need someone who's removed from it, not necessarily from the profession, but removed from it in order to guide the right decisions. I also need someone who has huge listening skills, and our spouses are emotional listeners.
exactly?
Our friends are emotional listeners. Now, that you and I, Yvonne, we have we have a very unique friendship. We absolutely know how to put that hat on, and Yvonne and I are black hats to one another when we have stuff going on in our businesses. And if we need that, we have the right vernacular to say, hey, have you ever thought about it this way? Or, I might want to attack it from this angle. And then we know with each other that is our, what would we call that? Our secret passwords or whatever, secret vernacular to each other, that we're actually caring for our businesses and we're taking our friendship and emotions out of it.
Absolutely.
We've been doing this for God years, over
Yeah,
over a decade, and we've always stayed in touch that way. So I agree, we have to have those cheerleaders in our lives. That's not a problem. I
absolutely.
know for myself that my husband is my largest cheerleader. And if he sees me having very heated conversations with other people, he is more likely to get on the defensive and try to protect me, because that's in his nature, than
Absolutely.
sitting back and saying, hey, did you recognize the fact that you probably offended over half the room? You know, like that.
Yeah,
Yeah, whatever. So, and that's what's so nice about our industry and having those coaches, is that we find that coach that fits for our particular purpose. You know,
absolutely. Yeah,
I have a business coach. I have a coach who coaches me on coaching. I have a life coach, and I have a spiritual coach. You know, I don't have a coach just for everything,
right.
if that makes sense. And
Absolutely.
and that's the way that I have always looked at it, because I've always been an encourager of coaching. We don't always see our shortcomings. We don't always see the forest through the trees.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like, if I'm going to go and I'm going to go hunt, depending upon what type of hunting it is, am I going to pick somebody who's never hunted to coach me on how to hunt? No, I'm not. I'm going to
Absolutely.
pick someone who is able to understand that, and go
Absolutely.
down that path.
Absolutely. And I think the thing is that people, it's hard if I can say it this way. Coaches are the most coachable people in the world. You have to be coachable and approachable, is what I call it, in order to understand that and take your ego out of the scenario. A lot of people will say, well, if I get a coach, then I'm second guessing myself, and I really am very firm in my beliefs, and I don't need somebody to guide me, because I know what I'm doing. I've been doing this a long time, whatever the it
Don't
is.
you love those? I love those people.
Yeah, I mean, and for the most part, most of the clients that I coach, they've been in the business on average about 12 to 15 years.
Mhm,
So these are not new agents.
mhm.
These are people who they've been doing it so long that they sometimes have lost their way. They don't follow what they used to do when when they were a new agent because they've maybe learned some bad habits. So the thing about coaches is that we, especially coaches, we are coachable. We take our ego out of it, and a lot of people think that coaches have a huge ego. It's the absolute opposite. We're just confident in what we're doing and confident in how we're helping you. But confidence and ego are two different things entirely. We are so open to hearing from others, how we can improve ourselves and how we can have a second voice when questions arise. We want to bounce things off of others. We are not the be all end all. And I know that I won't make any major business decisions without my coach. I just won't.
Yeah,
Because I am not the be all end all. So it's the total opposite of what people think coaches are, that it's all ego and we think we know it all. We absolutely are the opposite. We don't know it all, and we're always in pursuit of learning. And that's what we bring to the table, is that we're going to challenge you to also keep your eyes open, keep your ears open, and be open to other ideas, other ways of doing things. We're the catalyst for that. We help you to see
absolutely.
that. So
So
coach.
it reminds me, it's really kind of funny when you brought that up. What stuck into my head is how us in real estate, when we're practicing real estate, our perception of for sale by owners. If our perception of a for sale by owner is they don't have a clue, however, I haven't asked enough question of that particular for sale by owner to realize that they were either previously an agent, or, if I haven't asked enough questions, then how could I devise that perception in my head? So that was the start of having a lot of stuff come to pass about that. So don't always preconceive that someone's clueless, just because they're like, well, I don't need a coach. However, there are some for sale by owners that have never bought and sold their own homes. They acquired it, and God bless their hearts. As we know, with most for sale by owners, they can and will hire a professional. What is it, over 87% of the time after
Yep.
a month, because then they realize they don't know how to pre-qualify somebody, and they don't know the safety measures that need to go into place, and they don't have someone who can close the deal or be an advocate for them so far as if any title issues. They don't know the right inspectors or the contractors or the photographers, and the list goes on and on. So it falls back on that. As I look at some agents who don't look at their worth, that they're worth having a coach to take their business to the next level, to be able to create that space for their business to thrive, because they are in their own way, because they don't notice the blind spots that they have. It creates that tension that I like to release. And that is where the magic happens. You and I have both seen it. You and I have both witnessed it. We've been at events together where someone just, their light bulb goes on, and you and I both look at each other, and we kind of give each other a wink, and we're like, yes, another person that we were able to serve. And that's huge to both of us, because that fills our tank, because a lot of people are like, well, what do you get out of coaching, and blah, blah. What I get out of coaching has been my go-to from the get-go, which is this. I was taken by a realtor, and I don't want to see anybody else taken by a realtor. So it is my mission and my responsibility to have agents that have thriving businesses that are serving the consumer at the highest level, and to allow their family and freedom and their building of their legacies grow and flourish, and for them to pass it on. And that's my thrive. That's my drive.
Well, I appreciate that so much. I do have a logical sense, and I think of things in a logical way. And honestly, if you are a professional who's serving others and you're helping them to buy and sell properties, you are a coach yourself. You're an advocate and a coach to your clients. And if you believe that people should work with you as a realtor because you're going to coach them through the transaction, then you must be open to having that same service applied to your business. So anybody who says they're not open to a coach is the total opposite of what they themselves provide to the public, which is coaching to help someone through the transaction. So if you know that you can get more out of your business, just like your clients are going to have a better transaction, you're going to be their guide and advocate, you will see the value in working with Claire. You will know that you're going to be making more money. You're going to have more fulfillment. You're going to have a clarity that you never had before because you now have your guide and your advocate, just like you are to your clients. So take a look, take a scan of that QR code there at the bottom, or go to getleverage365.com /Claire Autrey to learn more and to schedule your 15-minute discovery, which is going to let you know all about the Creed program for her one-on-one sessions. She also conducts group coaching, which is going to be Mondays at 9:30. If you're interested, that's going to be starting in July 1st, the week of July 1st. That's going to be your total in to work with Claire. It is very, very affordable. It is going to change your business, and I cannot wait for you to sign up. We will be launching a brand new website and a brand new company. So you're going to see some of the branding changing from Leverage 365 to Coaching 365. And you'll be able to visit coaching365.com to be able to get more information. And you can sign up online right on the portal. You'll be able to do everything electronically. So it's going to be super easy for you to get into group coaching. You have no excuse for why you shouldn't be doing it. So we look forward to seeing you, Claire, next Wednesday. We're coming really close to July 1st, and it's going to be super exciting. And thank you so much, Claire. We'll see you next.
Absolutely. And hey, whoever's listening, just make sure if you want Yvonne and I to talk about something or go over something or run something past us on our weekly, you know what? Drop us a chat, drop us a DM. It doesn't matter. Just contact us. Even if you want to do it anonymously, we promise we will not embarrass you. However, we are seeing a high influx of people needing to have something discussed, but they don't really want to have their face out there. However, we're here for you. Just bring it to us. We'll knock it out of the park.
I love it. Thank you so much, Claire. We'll see you soon. We'll see you next Wednesday.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us on None of the Fluff, Only the Facts.